Welcome to the JUSTPADRIDE Snowboard channel. I'm Lars Horstman and today I'm going to talk about my favorite binding, the Now Drive Pro. First off, full disclosure, the Now Drive binding has been my binding of choice for the last 8 seasons, and this year Now and their Canadian distributor Dollhouse Agency kindly enough decided to support me as a rider and overall snowboard nerd, and they hooked me up with this pair of Drive Pros. That's a brand new model in their line, but they did not ask me to make this video. The reason for the video is that I've been receiving lots of questions, mostly through my Instagram, and questions that would reoccur over and over, that I figured I should answer in a video and make some things visible about this binding design that people are wondering about. So today I'm going to try and shine some light on the reasoning why I believe that this binding design is the best for the way I want to ride. Bindings have all kinds of different jobs to do. The most obvious one is to attach the board to your feet in a secure and comfortable manner. There's also vibration dampening, which will further contribute to comfort. And then, no matter what kind of snowboarder you are, in order for you to turn and make it down the hill, you have to change edges. So any binding out there should be able to transfer your energy onto your edges in an efficient way. The way a binding does that hasn't really changed all that much over the last 40 years. So in order for you to get onto your heel edge, you have a high back that is resting on top of a heel cup, and when you lean into that while pulling a little on your toes here into the toe strap, there's pressure that is being directed downwards onto your heel edge through the high back and heel cup. Now, when you think of your toe turn, that's a little different. There isn't actually any element of your binding that pushes down onto the toe edge. Instead, the binding relies on your ankle strap, and when you lean into the ankle strap, you will get some flexing of the base plate. The plastic will bend a little bit, and then eventually you get onto your toe edge. So what the binding really does is, instead of pushing down onto your toes, it's pulling on the heels. So if the base plate of the binding wasn't flexing at all, the binding would be insanely responsive, but also really harsh. That's something you don't really want. Like, think of a race car. If you have really stiff suspension in your vehicle and you hit a bumpy road, you just feel everything. It's not a nice ride. So we want some of this flex. However, the flexing of the plastic is a loss of energy. Now owner JF Pelchet took a good look at the hanger of a skateboard truck and then came up with a design that he's calling Skate Tech. And that design is the very first design out there that actually introduces an active moving element to the binding to direct pressure to the edges more efficiently and to absorb vibrations in form of a hinge point or a fulcrum, if you will. The way this works is through this piece called the post. And that's this guy here that holds your mounting disc, and that's where you mount the binding to your board. And the post and the chassis are attached to each other only at this hinge point right here. You got 2 of those. And then you got bushings in the 4 corners of the binding. I'm going to remove those to demonstrate the effect. These are interchangeable for bushings of different density to achieve different ride fields and different amounts of dampening. So what happens when you mount the binding to the board is that energy is sent to the edges through this movement. You are creating leverage through this fulcrum. Now you're wondering why that would be a good idea, and I said it already, because it's leverage. It becomes really clear when you think of getting from your heel to your toe edge. While every single other binding out there has this base plate flex before you get onto your toe edge, the Now system, the Skate Tech idea, actually pushes actively onto the toe edge as soon as you start leaning into your ankle strap. And that is a genius design. Now this is mostly the moment when people are telling me, but I don't want all this movement, and surely there's some sort of delay going on, going edge to edge. So this binding here still has the bushings in it, and I'm going to show you what happens when you mount it to a board. Basically you set the binding down and you will notice that the post in the center is actually not even touching the top sheet. So when you tighten the screws, you will preload all the 4 bushings and basically get rid of all this movement. You can no longer engage that with the force of your hand. It will literally take your body weight and riding forces to make all of this movement happen that you've seen earlier. I think that is a genius design because it actually uses leverage to get power onto your edge. The other misconception is that people think they're standing on some sort of a rocking plate going back and forth. Now here you can actually see bushings are still out. Once you flip down, so this is your top sheet right here, hey? So once you flip down this EVA foot ramp, that'll be sitting right on your snowboard and you are standing on top of this, and all this movement is actually happening around your foot and not under your foot. So that makes it so genius. You're just standing on a nice cushy footbed on the snowboard, and all this magic of energy transfer and vibration dampening is happening around your feet. The dampening aspect is easy to show. Like, think of your board hanging off of this post, and it's doing all these little micro vibrations. And because it's moving in this hinge point, all those vibrations get directed straight to the corners of the binding and are being absorbed there by the bushings. So in regards to vibration dampening, personally I find now bindings in general are literally in their very own league. Less vibrations means more edge grip, more board control, more comfort, and less foot fatigue. So looking at all of that, you're basically looking at the first soft boot binding design out there that managed to increase the comfort of the binding by reducing vibrations to a large degree, while actually coming up with a system that directs pressure to the edges more efficiently. In the past, every time a binding has become more responsive, that was due to the binding having become stiffer and therewith also harsher and less comfortable. I'm going to show you some of the finer details that I've come to appreciate over the years on now bindings. When you look at boot binding integration, you will see that the boot slides in there really far, and that is almost seamless. So there isn't much material piling up behind the boot, and that gives me a whole lot of freedom to actually do deep heel carves without booting out by hitting my heel cup. With the boot all the way in there, simultaneously touching the high back and the heel cup, I also get a more direct energy transfer onto my heel edge rather than pushing into that sandwich of multiple layers of plastic. The way they do that is with the so-called flush cup design. You're looking at a high back that is resting on top of the heel cup rather than, just for comparison's sake, a bent metal. This is a very standard binding design. Almost every binding out there looks like this. You have a high back that basically falls in behind the heel cup, and that produces multiple layers of plastic behind your boot that may cause you to hit your heel cups in deep heel turns. With now you also get the tallest heel cup on the market. So you're basically looking at a 2 centimeter difference compared to bent metal, and the same goes comparing to the Burton that I have here. Why would you want a taller heel cup? So this kind of design gives the binding greater lateral stiffness. That is super important for carving, but it is also really important for more of a buttery kind of approach to snowboarding. Mostly people who like to butter a lot will tell you they want all this ankle movement so they can shift their weight towards the tips of the board. Now, if you change your viewpoint on that, you can look at a binding design like this and use the lateral stiffness in your advantage because you can actually lean into the binding to flex the tip of the board rather than moving your entire body weight in that direction. So this is a freestyle aspect just as much as it is a carving aspect. More lateral power means less work. In regards to high back rotation, now don't really give you an adjustability option, and that is because they pre-curve the high back for you. And why would they do that? Because everybody should be riding with rotated high backs. When you consider the edge of the table here to be my board's heel edge, and I mount the binding at an angle, then in order for me to get onto my heel edge, I need high back here on the side, parallel to my edge. So this pre-curve that is pretty strong, in particular with the Now Drive Pro here, that gives me plenty of material to lean into and get the board on edge efficiently. In regards to the positioning of the ankle strap, some companies drill multiple holes into the chassis so you can move the strap up or down. Now have solved this issue with the design of the flip-it strap. So when you're looking here, you see an asymmetrical strap that offers more material at the top than at the bottom. In this position, I have more support because I have more material to lean into and a slightly stiffer strap feeling. And when I interchange left and right strap and I put this onto the other binding, which would be like this, now I have the smaller part, the lesser material at the top, and this position will allow for more ankle flex. So the cool thing about the solutions that Now has come up with in regards to rotation and strap placement is basically that they offer you both features without actually having to drill any additional and unnecessary holes into either the high back or the chassis. And obviously less holes means stronger material. The last thing I want to show you that I think is pretty genius, although it's not totally unique to Now bindings, is the way they design their mounting disc. So when you look at this disc, you can see that the holes are actually drilled off center. So these guys here are actually for a Burton channel mount, so it's great, saves you having to own a second set of discs. Now if I want to shift my binding that way, I obviously just do this, right? Now I moved it over to that side. Well, but what do I do when I want to move it this way? I simply rotate the disc. Now I can move it this way. Why would that be an advantage? It's material strength. If you make these oval holes even longer or even opt for a full slot that you cut out of the disc, you will be creating a much weaker disc than this design. So that's pretty genius as well. So that was my list of reasons for why I've been riding Now bindings for a solid 8 seasons in a row. It is better energy transfer to the edges, more vibration dampening, an overall much more comfortable binding with less foot fatigue, and then every single design aspect of this binding serves a purpose and contributes to making what I would assume to be the strongest binding out there. Thank you for watching. I hope I was able to explain and make sense of Now's skate tech and the overall Now binding design. Let me know in the comments what bindings you're on and why. Make sure you follow my channel and get the notifications for new episodes to drop. I have a lot of new stuff in the pipes. It's going to be a long winter. Hopefully I'll see you out there. Take care.